in mind consciousness. Changers for me to start. In fact, I started looking at martial artists, and I saw whether they were doing the splits or whatever, that's what they were doing. That's one of the ways they could go so deep in, is by incorporating a mild amount of engagement in the muscle that you're trying to stretch. Everything, it was like it showed me the keys to stretching my entire universe in such a powerful way. So I want to thank you personally for, I know that, remember that back in the garage so many years ago, that was a game changer. And then of course the isometric, asymmetric, and the resistance stretching aspects became, you know, one of the sequences we do with the shoulder sequence, where we reset the shoulders with neuromuscular release therapy. It was just, these are just the simplest dynamics, friends. And one thing it should show you is, wow, we really don't know how to work this thing too well. I mean, the basics. But more, it should show you how deeply you can explore in if you just have a few guide stones along the way.
Yeah, you know, when you talk about opening the body and the structural body, it's a must. Why? Why is it so important? Well, think about it. All of your organs are in the center of your body, okay? And where does all the excessive stress, meaning where does the excessive heat and all the excessive cold from the organs, where does it go? It goes to the limbs. It goes to the legs. It goes to the neck. It goes to the arms. And whenever this stuff is too short and it's too tight, it means that the organs don't have a place to dump all of their excessive heat, right? Because when you start thinking about the body, you have to start thinking first, okay, electric and magnetic. Okay, you got that piece. Then you have to understand cold and hot, right? And then you have to understand yin and yang. But to keep it really basic and really simple, let's just go with excess cold and excess heat. So if my stomach gets too hot, so that it creates less dysfunction, what does my body do? It says, hey, let's shuffle some of this extra electricity, some of this extra magnetic frequency that's too charged, that's in an excessive state. Let's push it down into the limbs. And then what does that do? That causes the limbs to then to start to accumulate. What are they accumulating? Excess heat or excess cold? I can't tell you how many people come in here and they say, oh my God, my feet, they're cold all the time, right? If you take them to a Western medicine appointment, they check out their pulse, they check out their blood pressure. It's all normal, right? Normal, normal, normal. They're in normal ranges, and yet their hands are freezing and their feet are freezing. So what do? I take out the tension and the stress that's in the limbs, and then suddenly guess what happens? All that excessive cold in their system, it starts to burn off immediately. And the outcome of that is my feet warm up, my hands warm up, my nose warms up, my ears, they warm up. And so one of the things that I have put together is called Bestercise. And Bestercise stands for bioenergetic self-transformational sequences, right? And there's a sequence for every single organ in the human body. What's in the organs? The organs are made up of high-level spiritual intelligence, right? Well, think about this. You have light. When you condense light waves, right, you get access to information and intelligence. And that gets condensed so deeply, it turns into a cell. And then get millions of those cells together, all having the same function and same frequency. And then what do they have? They have a function. And that function is physiological, but it's also spiritual. It's also emotional. It's also mental. What does that mean? It means every organ affects your behavior. It affects the quality, it has a particular quality of energy. It affects you emotionally in a particular way. All right. It affects you physiologically, systemically, structurally. So the whole thing is connected, right? Through this huge web of tissue. So what do you want to do? You want to create space, because when I create space, I got room for change. But space is the final frontier, but you got to get to the space inside of you rather than the space outside of you.
But that's the point, because we lost our space over our
Inside.
lives,
Oh, that's right.
compressing together. So
That's right.
ironically, eventually, that internal space becomes your final frontier, because you didn't realize you filled all the way up with all this stuff. And now, not only do you have knowledge and wisdom, but you have Strauma, accumulative stress and trauma collected from the moment you're born. You're separated from your mom, generally. For us guys, at least, if you are the masculine, you have other elements like genital mutilation. Okay, let's like fully acknowledge what it is. Okay, the genital mutilation of men. That to me is one of the atom bombs of stress. And all these elements, they end up collecting and accumulating, and life tells you, what does life say? Pull yourself together, right? So your ego compresses into your body. Your entire tension stress code sequence in your muscles and nerves is how you personally have compressed together, how you have, and now it's your opportunity, like Christopher said, because you do have this Star Trek Enterprise, right? Is you got to go find your space. I mean, there's a lot of metaphors if we were to just go into Star Trek's theme. It's like they take this fancy ship out to explore the space. What a beautiful, completely opposite allegorical formula for what we're really supposed to be doing, which is actually the entire Star Trek show would be about them walking around inside the Star Trek Enterprise and looking at how awesome it is in there, because no one's been paying attention for so long. Right? Or it's all,
when they went into most humans, what they would find is dark, deep space.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Right? They would find these really dark, heavy, thick energy to move through. And so people are clear, again, when we talk about Strauma is stress plus time.
right,
That eventually accumulates to such a large level, it could be categorized as trauma.
right.
Okay? So Strauma. So look, there's other kids that have grown up, and you know what? They didn't have the mutilation that you were talking about, and they
Right.
had a mom that was semi-present, and compared to the average human being, they had a pretty good deal, right? Yet ultimately, they don't think, because their uncle didn't come in their room when they were 13 years old, or the next door neighbor didn't beat them up on a semi-regular basis, that they don't have trauma. And when we talk about trauma, we got to talk about trauma as you got blunt force trauma, or you have Strauma, which is daily stress that you picked up from not being you,
Right.
okay, not from avoiding being your authentic self,
Right.
that you picked up every single day. Maybe your parents were feeding you foods that you were allergic to for 17 years, right? Which is happening pretty much in every household across the planet, right? Because most parents aren't investigating into what their child really needs. It's like, well, we made dinner for everyone. Yeah, but your child has a completely different eating program from who you are. So because of these generalized states of function, they've created an intense amount of individual distortion, which gets passed on day to day, and you accumulate more and more and more of it until this stress transforms into tension. This tension manifests as distortion, and then this distortion creates separation from your authentic self. And that altogether eventually turns into a highly traumatized body, brain, or nervous system that feels the same as someone who went through actual blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to talk about this on a call is because I want every listener to realize that, hey, you may not have had one of those really difficult childhoods, but I promise you, if we went into your body, you've got as much tension and stress as distortion as that person who did. And sometimes more. Because you're under the belief that, well, I didn't really go through anything too traumatic. Yes, you've been on Earth, okay? You've been on Earth. The entire process of being on Earth is distressing.
Right.
The food is terrible, the water quality is terrible, and the air is terrible, okay? I'm talking about quality. All right. But now, if you're functioning well on the inside and your lifetime accumulated stress load is low, those things have very little effect on you.
Right.
But the truth is, 99.9% of all humans, which means every listener on this call right now, they can make a clear assumption that their lifetime accumulated stress load is super, super high. And they have to focus on that if they want to have a true transformational experience, because without that, all you have is a fleeting experience. And then eventually that challenge or that thing you've had, it comes right back around to slap you in the face 3 months later, or a year later, or 3 years later. What we're offering you is an opportunity to get honest with yourself and go, oh my God, I had no idea that this is what was going on. You may not have a symptom right now, but I promise you that symptom, it's already coming for you. All right. You might be lucky enough to be on this call and only be 25 years old or 22 years old or 18 years old, and you have youth on your side. But the reality is, you have higher stressors than Mike and I dealt with when we were 18 and 16 years old, because you have the media accessing you at all moments in time. Okay. I didn't have to deal with electromagnetic radiation at the level that you have to deal with it now when I was a kid. Not at all. Okay. My biggest worry when I was 7 years old was, are we going to play kickball tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, like if they misplace their cell phone, they're totally stressed out.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the amount of minor stressors that are going on all the time, they're eating away at your consciousness unless you know how to put yourself back together. So every day you're starting from zero.
Right. That's it. And that is that. I mean, that's the thing that we both really want you to understand, is that you're designed to have human experiences. Listen, everything you feel is neuropeptides released from your brain. They make you feel happy, sad, angry. Everything you physically do, it is possible by neurochemicals like acetylcholine that releases and sends. It is what makes your body physically move around and animate, which means, guess what? And this was the big aha moment for me. I'm sure it was for Christopher at some point along his journey as a practitioner. I just thought, why doesn't this stuff naturally release on its own? That just seems like that should be like the more optimal functionality of this machine. Guess what? My aha moment was to see that there is a price for having a human experience, for being able to swim in the ocean, have orgasms, eat delicious, yummy foods. And that is that you have your experience here as a human being is a biochemical process. And that means that you are recording all the time, recording. And that's okay. Because guess what? Just like your computer, you're supposed to actually be kind of keeping your computer clean, dumping files, throwing away extra pictures maybe that you don't need because you took 5 pictures of your friend's son at the birthday party for him to share, but you ended up not getting a good one. So let's say you left 5 on there. Instead of erasing those other 4, send it to your friend, erase that other picture. My point is being tentative to the hard drive. I'm using technological terms because people are so technologically integrated. So This body is biochemically recording and assimilating memory chemically all the time. And guess what? It's totally normal. It's a normal thing. You didn't do anything wrong. The thing is that we weren't taught to release it every day and get yourself back to zero as we go. And so now we got decades of this chemical residue, these neurochemicals. They become more sticky and rancid. They all have an acidic base. So that brings your acidity level up. And then all that acidic, extra rancid chemicals that are sitting in you that really are from 20 years ago, they're also corroding the two-coat proteins of your nerve endings, which is why all disease is neurologically degenerative. Your nerves wear out. And over time, they stop communicating to areas, and those areas that aren't getting communication, that communication, what's the communication? It's for what I call your inner physician, which is your internal doctor that's doing everything to keep you alive right now. It's also sending messages, it's scanning, it's diagnosing. It's designed to do that. And it's doing so many more things than you ever could consciously do. Right now, you're just trying to focus on us talking. Your body's doing like 100 things to keep you alive, maybe even 1,000, right? So the only role you have is to engage your inner physician that's super brilliant and doing all this stuff. You got to engage them every day. You got to stimulate them. And there are, accelerated techniques to do, but it's as simple as what I call basic medicine touch. Just squeeze. Just give yourself some squeezing. Squeeze your whole body, your arms, your chest, squeeze your legs. You're already laying in bed. You're trying to get out of your head and get more into your body. Think about how you got to go to the bathroom, sit over the sink, brush your teeth. Some people, I know people that go, oh, I just couldn't brush my teeth last night. I was so tired, I passed out. Guess what? No excuses here. You don't have to go to the bathroom. You don't have to lather up a brush. You're already laying in bed. You might as well just do some squeezing, even some basic squeeze your tissue, and think even as simple as head, shoulders, knees and toes, like the kid song. We're actually working on a neuromuscular therapy song for kids to just do some basic contact. Squeeze the whole body, squeeze the fluids and move them around. Now, that's for your day-to-day accumulation. What Christopher and I are also addressing is now you've got several decades under your belt of this gunk. It's deep into the layers of your tissue. It's down. It's sedimented even in the muscle fibers deep down. Now, it's going to take more than just medicine touch and giving yourself some palpation, some general squeezing to get that stuff out. And you know what? There's slumbering dragons in them there hills. It's a painful process to face your inflammation. Here's the problem. If you don't do it, it only gets worse. So as much as, and I know this was disorienting for you as you started your journey with the Rolfing, for me, same thing. Is when I first had deeper neuromuscular structural work done, I could barely lay on the table. I was squirming and kicking off like an electrocuted frog. And you know what? I wasn't angry at the practitioner at all. Unlike a lot of patients that I've had to work with that do what I call the blame game, and they say, oh, it's you. You're making me feel pain. That's actually not how it works. I had complete awareness at 19. I'm really screwed up. Like, whoa, my body should not be this painful. What is this going to be like when I'm 40? And so I really felt the weight of that journey, Christopher, that you've been on. I felt what was ahead. Well, it felt overwhelming. But where I found the blessing, and I hope you all can find this, is I was grateful that I started it now instead of a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now. I started the process of getting it out in that moment. And I could tell from the deep level of what was coming out, that stuff that was coming out, there was a lot of it, but that stuff was gone. And if I hadn't have done that, it would have been 10 times more intense 6 months later or a year later if I started the process. So there is no better time than to start releasing this stuff now, because it is a long road to do it. And please, I know Christopher can completely feel me on this. Understand, don't lie to yourself. You are a huge project. There is no quick fix. There's not, as magical as Christopher and I am, as deep neuromuscular and structural body workers. we can perform miraculous things. I've seen people magical. There are beautiful miracles that happen, but at the same time, there's what I call the drain process. So after the miraculous, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. The days that follow, your body's going to be detoxing. It's going to feel tender. It's going to feel sometimes painful. Sometimes other parts of your body start hurting because remember, the inner physician's going, oh my God, are you actually doing something to fix me right now? Oh, well, start sending them some signals. Show them other places where there's stuff going on, because pain is sadly, it is the SOS communication of your body. It's already tried to tell you in other ways. Just general tension, feeling of pressure, discord. When it gets to the place where your body's in pain, that is your body's final attempt to say, hey, stupid, you are not listening. Like, all right, you know what? Let's fire up those nerves and get them inflamed. Maybe I'll do something about it then. And sadly, because most of us have an aversion to pain because we live our lives to gain pleasure and avoid pain. That's why we do everything. And we associate pain with getting hurt. You stub your toe when you're a little kid, you burn your hand, you go, ooh, pain's bad. Pain could kill me. Stay away from pain. So when you start coming across pain in your own body, you avoid it. And that's where we need to start. And that's why I like Strauma, and I want you to bridge. I would love you to bridge in that there are different types of pain. There's constructive and destructive pain. Destructive pain destroys tissue. It's damaging. Constructive pain is you facing inflammation and irritation and pain in your body so that it's coming out. One is damaging. It's putting trauma and pain inward to the body. The other one, you're accessing pain and it has to come out. And I can't speak for Christopher, but I don't know another way to get your deeper trauma and pain out than going in and facing it. And I've tried. Trust me, I've tried. Nothing really worked or produced results for me, which is the way we started the show. Is you shouldn't do anything in this life if it doesn't produce results. Just sheerly on the value of your time here in this magical life. If you're going to put your time into something, it should be producing results for you.
Well, for me, when I hear that was a lot, but a couple things stuck out. And there's the distinction here is between discomfort and pain, right? And so before we get there, the part that I want to go over and distill down for people, because I think it's important, is that Micah went over a download where he was informing you that once your nerves lose their ability to communicate effectively, there's no ability for your body to be governed and managed in the way that it's designed to govern and manage. Now, what I mean by that is this: your brain, the Chinese, and in the Asian arts, they refer to it as a governing vessel. That means it has a job, and its job is to communicate. It's to put out the small fires as they're happening, right? It's running your heart. It's running your vision. There's so many things that it's doing. Yet, when you become so internally toxic and stressed and tense and distorted, and all this gunk is sitting in your system, it disallows your brain to do what it's supposed to do. You keep your brain from governing. And then what happens is your brain says, look, if I'm not allowed to govern, then I might as well get dense. And then the density starts increasing in your brain and you start losing neuroplasticity. And now your brain, what does it have to do? It has to ramp up the electrical charge to attempt to get some communication going. But there is a cost, and the cost is, guess what? You end up with neurodegenerative diseases. Well, why do you get these neurodegenerative diseases? Not because there's anything wrong with your brain, but because there's everything wrong with your body, and now the nerves can't do what they're meant to do. And so the brain can't communicate clearly through the nervous system down into the body. So what is the quick and easiest solution? clean up all the junk in and around your nerves, get the toxicity and stress and tension out of your muscles and all of your fascia, take the twist out of your bones so that all that excessive stress that's on your ligaments and tendons diminishes, so that your brain can do what it came here to do. Your brain is your crown chakra. That's your connection between you and God. And if you don't take care of your body, the communication sucks. And anyone will tell you, being in a relationship with someone who's a poor communicator is difficult. It's very difficult. And so you're making everything much more difficult than it needs to be. And we're here on this first call together to throw up the flag and go, yo, take a look over here. And Micah is absolutely correct. When you feel discomfort and or pain in the joints or discomfort in your muscles, your body is saying, yo, bonehead, look over here. But no problem. Let me go to the store. Let me get myself anti-inflammatory. I'll take that, which means that now you're basically taking a sheet, a really thick sheet, and you're putting it over the red flashing light so you don't have to see the red flashing light anymore. And that's not a solution. That's called deflection and distraction and avoidance. When you already have pain, you are 10 years behind schedule. 10. You're 10 years behind schedule. And I don't care if you're a professional athlete. Okay? I've been watching football the last 4 weeks. The amount of injuries that are happening now are, oh my God. I mean, it's decimating teams. Okay. Basically, they're going to have to change the way that they run the NFL. They're not going to be able to have 53 players on a roster. You're going to have 75 players on a roster just to be able to get through a regular season. Because guess what? These guys' bodies, they're so toxic and they're so stressed, right? More stressed than they've ever been before. And you know what's got them stressed? This whole COVID pandemic and all the fear that's been projected in the world. And Mike is absolutely correct. If your body and your brain and your nervous system are operating correctly, your immunity is extremely high, and it doesn't matter what's floating around, you're going to be A-okay. Because your body will know how to deal with it because it has a surplus of energy. It has a surplus of consciousness. It has a surplus of emotion. It has a surplus of electricity, magnetism to deal with these things. But most of you are barely getting to the next moment. And what I mean by that is when you wake up in the morning, you're tired. Why are you tired? Because your restore, repair, and recovery rate is too low, and your lifetime accumulated stress load is too high. Dealing with your daily stress, yes, that's nice. That's like washing the windows, right? You're going to wash the windows in your house. I'm talking about fixing the cracks in the foundation.
Right.
All right? Which means, and he's right again, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. Go into your bathroom, open the door, look in the mirror, have a difficult conversation with yourself and say, listen, body, I'm really, really, really sorry for treating you like ass. Okay? And being as ignorant as humanly possible. Okay? So now, once your body feels like you're paying attention to it, it's saying, hey, he actually thinks I have value. Yes, the brain has value. It's wonderful, right? But the higher forms of intelligence are in the unconscious. They're in the subconscious. They're in the superconscious. Your conscious mind is like one tiny grain of sand, okay? Your unconscious emotional body is like a 50-gallon drum of sand. Your subconscious is like all the sand on earth. And your superconscious is like all the sand on all the planets in our whole entire universe. And you've been relying on one tiny grain of sand. Nothing could be more stupid. Nothing could be more idiotic. I have got to make these moments, this moment, so loud, so clear, to break through the density in your highly, highly dense brain. You literally have to listen to this download 3 or 4 times until you wake up, you look in the mirror and you go, you know what? I'm a toxic mess. Even if I don't have symptoms, I'm a toxic mess, because what I understand from Micah and Christopher is very simple. My parents gave me a broken down suitcase, put some polish on it, buffed it up, sewed it a little bit, and told me they just brought it back from Nordstrom's brand new. Okay? Every person born that's born is born a complete and entire mess. And you don't know what that mess is until you hit your 30s and your 40s and your 50s. But trust me, you are. And you have got to clean up the ship. Even if you don't have any symptoms, you got to go clean up the ship. And if you have any symptom, meaning you have any anxiety, you deal with anger on a semi-regular basis, you have any discomfort in your body, whether it's your muscles or your joints, your sleep, when you wake up in the morning, you still feel tired. If you sit in a self-righteous position where you're judging and criticizing and disapproving and standing in an overly moralizing position over yourself and others, okay, you're a mess. All right. And it's time to look at all of this, every phase of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it all begins with the body. Whatever's going on in your body is going on in your life. Whatever's going on in your life that's out of sorts can be located in a particular place in your body. And so when someone like Micah puts his hands on you, when someone like me puts their feet on you, and we go into these deeper tissues, you get clear really quick that, whoa, I've got something in here that doesn't belong in here. And you've got to breathe relative to the level of discomfort that you're feeling so it can transmute, it can get the emotional attention that it's been craving, and it can move on so that a new aspect of your consciousness can be present so you can access that higher form of intelligence and create the life experience that you really want. And if you're on this call, my sense is your focus is on freedom. Your focus is on peace. Your focus is on abundance and happiness and service, because that's what we're about. That's what our tribe is about. High levels of generosity of spirit. Well, in order to get access to that spirit, you have got to clean up your body, your brain, and your nervous system. And it isn't enough to just do one thing. It's not enough to lift weights. It's not enough to eat good, healthy food. It's not enough to put your time and your energy into other people and be of service. You have to look at all phases of who you are, what you're doing it, how you're doing it, and you have to do it from an honest position. Where am I incongruent, inner deficient, and insecure? And every place in my life where there's pain, where there's anxiety, where there's anger, where there's discomfort, where there's fear, it's letting me know, it's giving me the signal, it's showing me with a very big sign, wake up, wake up, wake up, please wake up.
That's it. That's the call. That is the call. And ironically, the body's been calling to you for a long time. And the call has had to progressively get louder. And part of it is again, the desensitization, the disconnectedness that we've all been indoctrinated into. We have all gotten so into that left brain, into the logic, into the reason, into the mind. We have disconnected because guess what? The right receptive the right hemisphere is also about. It's about connection to body, connection with the parasympathetic, that connection to this deeper inner self, this inner standing, this internal being that we are distracted externally to never look within for. So there is an effect on that, and that loss of love for self. And I'm putting just some screenshots up for you. You guys take a look. It affects the telomeres in your body, which means it compromises these little railroad tracks that are literally built with enzymes that are continuing on the railroad tracks of your DNA that helps continue your body to keep creating tissue that's young, and it's what keeps you from aging, literally. And so love is one of the biggest things that gets these telomeres to keep producing the railroad tracks to extend the DNA and your longevity. And here's the thing: when you're full of all your suffering, when you're full of all the programming, the conditioning, the fear, the adrenaline, you are not truly in a state of love, of loving thyself. And also the deep conditioned narcissism that all of us have taken on is also compromising us on a deeper level to these telomeres that are basically elongating your life. And then of course, having our bodies untrained, not going into that fifth or sixth gear that this magical vehicle can do, where it regenerates itself. It regenerates with this sacred colostrum through these sacred secretions that is literally anointing our lamp. It is the chrism oil. It is the anointing. It is what takes us from human to being to this more divine place. We can't even approach that path until we clean our temple out. And we have those two baptisms. One baptism is the water baptism, cleansing the body, and the other fire baptism is through the breath and cleansing the mind. But there is a synthesis with it, and we must take both those baptisms seriously. We must really look at what we're here for. And we've been so misdirected to place meaning where there is none. And we have no meaning that we place on the things that are really what we're here for. So we're at the end of the show. And so I want to just leave it to you. Anything else you want to share? Obviously, how can everyone get a hold of you? I know we can get your book, Free for Life, on Amazon. An amazing book. It reads really, really quickly. And when I say that, I mean it reads very fluently. And as Christopher told me, and this is with any book, you need to read something like 3 or 4 times to really get everything from it. You can get it on Amazon, website links, any way people can get a hold of you or reach out or be blessed with the magical healing as they're more in your vicinity and not, marooned on an island out in the Pacific like me.
Yeah. Well, the first step is I would go to truebodyintelligence.com. Okay. And then truebodyintelligence.com, there's a couple ways that you can engage some of the work that I've been developing. And I give high level education, and I take you through a truly transformative process. And the course is called the 8 Stepping Stones to Inner Freedom. And you can order the course and take it on your own, or you can get to the next level engagement, which means you buy the course and you buy the coaching that goes along with it. And then I take you through 16 weeks of coaching you through the program so that you get the most out of your investment. Because for me, I'm all about return on investment.
Yeah.
And all the people that have been through that program, I mean, forget 5 stars. If they could give it 50 stars, they would give it 50 stars.
Right.
Because it is that profound. So there's education, which is 8 modules, 60 to 90 minutes, followed by a transmutative meditation, which lasts between 15 and 22 minutes. And then there's a workbook that allows you to go through a repersonalization process so that you can integrate the aspect of your consciousness that are depersonalized and fragmented. Okay? And it's profound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a code, okay? And with this code, it's going to be let's see. It's going to be Micah 27. Okay.
And
It's going
I'll
to
put
be,
that up. I'll put that up on the when I put the text up for this when we put it out. I'll
It'll
put
be
all the
Micah 27. And when you punch that in, you'll get a 27% discount either on the course and the course plus the coaching. I'm giving you a discount like that because I want you to get in the groove, and I want you to get high level information that can create the most profound, practical change in your life, and that you can do it while someone's holding your hand, coaching you and guiding you through it and taking you deeper every other week into that process. Because you know what? When you grow, I grow. When I fail, you fail. You want to know what? Because it's all connected. And like Micah was saying earlier, this is the last thing that I want to touch on. Forget about being enlightened if you're on this planet at this time. Focus on getting in neutral, right? Neutrality right now would be the first ascended state to get to. But you can't get
0 point.
there if you're full of toxicity, stress, tension, distortion, fear, and separation consciousness. It's an impossibility. Those states are diametrically opposed to enlightenment, awareness, consciousness, and wakefulness. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I know we shared a lot of information from a very intense place, but we're at this point, this crossroad, and this is the time to sit back and investigate and filter through what's relevant for you on the call.
Right.
And then figure out a way to get in contact with Micah or get in contact with me so that we can help you grow beyond your limitations. That's what he and I were designed for. Nothing else. I don't want a trophy. I don't want any recognition. I don't even care about that stuff. But what I do care about is I care about humanity. I care about myself. I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about my community. And I want you all to have an opportunity to make an investment that's going to be a 10x return for you.
100%. And that is why the end game for me, and it's a powerful reflection, is creating the self-treatment system for neuromuscular therapy. I'm working on a 13 video series where you can actually break it up and just learn one section of the body, how to do this work, or you can eventually collect all the videos or just get the entire set of how to treat your entire body head to toe. Because even if you did sessions with myself or Christopher, if you didn't have the foundations to work on thyself, to heal thyself, it doesn't matter how deep we go with you. It doesn't matter the prolific awakenings or liberations. You will start reaccumulating, and you'll find yourself treading water again and feeling disheartened. Why? Oh, I felt so amazing for this long. Right. But what did you do day to day after we reset you and helped release all this stuff? Oh, I guess I just didn't really do that much. Okay, well, then you just reaccumulated again. Stepping out of this cycle, this wheel, this hamster wheel, is giving you the power, which means giving you the knowledge and the wisdom and information. So everybody, as per usual, www.matrixbodymechanics.com is a website you can check out more information. Obviously, there's tons of videos on how to do the self-treatment work here on our Matrix Body Mechanics Live. There's tons of different ones where I've showed you. And I also made public the Trinity of Health and Wellness event where we went through yogic sciences and breath work, basic breakdown of neuromuscular release therapy, and then how to make living foods that are healthy to nourish the body's biochemical process as we begin this return to center, or this 0 point. So again, with that, thank you all so much. It's truly always an honor to be on here, and it's been an honor to be on here with you, my brothers. It's truly, I can't wait to do more of these.
So good.
Yeah,
Well, you know, I was thinking based on your offer, I was thinking maybe what we'll do is we'll get together and we'll create a course that you guys can access that will allow you to have these tools in your home. And now that we've said it, and there's going to be all these listeners listening to it, there's going to be people that are going to be chomping at the bit for it. So Micah, let's one, Mike and I are going to create a call that you can access a minimum every other week, okay, where you can get more downloads and information, and we'll break things down into digestible small bits of information. And then what we're going to do, we're going to create a course that teaches you how to work on your body in your own home so that you get to break all those relationships that you have that are based on dependency and codependency in relationship to your own health and wellness. I mean, when I think about it, that's probably the greatest thing we could do together.
Yeah.
Give them the information and the education, but also teach them the practice.
Yep, it's giving you guys the keys to your universe, to your innerverse, and to developing understanding around that universe and how truly it is a universe of cells within. So on that note, I hope this charged y'all up for the week. It's another week into the great unknown. Trust and surrender is the process, and truly grounding into thyself will help you to make it through whatever this week comes through. Again, we're going to get into some more. I have some videos I'll be putting out just on some basic breakdowns. The next 6 to 8 weeks, guys, it's going to be the most intense in this transformational period where everything is going to be changing and getting restructured and collapsing. What has not worked is going to collapse, but we all need to be in the place of how are we going to rebuild? That is the mentality. We have to rebuild. If the systems go down, the banking systems go down, the Jasara Nasara activates, how are we going to rebuild? And that starts with a solid foundation within us, and that starts with us healing thyself. So on that note, again, it's a true honor. We're going to be back again. We're going to, like he said, that is, I have a full 100% yes on that, for us to create some feeling of consistency, even if it's every other week with you guys, to help you start building momentum towards the program that we just kind of brainchild. God is coming through us to show us what to share and how to share it, and you guys are a catalyst for that. So we will be busy, and we will be back with you on that tip. Until then, stay safe, centered, and strong. Sat Nam, aloha, and be good to each other. Blessings.
Peace and love, my friends. Peace and love.
Body, mind, consciousness.